Just doing a review on the movie Titanic that is on Netflix right now. That is one movie growing up watching that. It was around the high school times. It was so played so often. And I remember getting this pirated copy. That was one that only the critics get to see. And it was so neat to watch it on VHS. It was 2 tapes at the time to watch. And going over. Probably seen that probably about half a dozen. It's been many years since it came out. Over 20 plus years. And then you watch all the history, all the dramatics, the behind the scenes. When they get into the real history of it. It's a magnificent ship. It is. And big old ships like that, they have a haunting presence to them, which makes them so magical. And that's why this movie was larger than life. This is by far one of James Cameron's best roles he has made in a long time.
Besides Terminator 2.
This was also the role where Kate Winslet really came about. She's done some movies prior that were pretty interesting, some B-rated movies. And then he came into Leonardo DiCaprio. He was already a star at this point. And it's amazing to watch. He was just doing his thing. But my goodness, Kate Winslet was dynamite in this movie. She was actually probably the hottest roles that she's done. I mean, she's done The Reader, The Quills. Really great movies after this. You can get into the emotion when it comes to this movie review. I mean, you can suck back some DMT and cook up some elk meat, and that is what sends this whole entire fervor of a great masterpiece when it comes to this. This masterpiece of a movie, I can watch and gush about it for hours, but to be objectively saying, it's a 10 out of 10 for this movie. Yes, it's about 3 hours longish, but it's worth every second of it. I mean, you're watching all the fine details, which you can't imagine.
DMT and elk meat supplied on the ship.
Put me on the paddle, please! It's freezing here! Fine, it makes sense, but 20 years from now, they'll do it behind the scenes and they'll finally get this joke. Oh, go on and on. Oh, yeah. There was still room on the paddle, Rose. I will never let that go. Don't worry, I'll get you back.
Something like a movie like this today could not be made. I mean, you couldn't make that movie today. You'd have too many nuances happening where someone doesn't like this, someone doesn't like that, they get offended here. I want to put a little bit of wokeness on this point to prove a point. I mean, that's what's ruining Hollywood today. 100% ruining it. 20 plus years ago, you could make any kind of great movie and no one gave a shit what you did. And that is the thing. But today there's all these inputs and messages. That's why this movie was timeless. One thing too, if you want to get into this movie more, is getting some historical facts that they have on YouTube. You can get onto those, and Rumble has it as well. And you get into the hauntingness of it. And there's actually a museum in Branson, Missouri that actually has a Titanic scale museum, which I think is pretty haunting in its own right, because that ship is magnificent. You know, supposedly they are making a second one that's supposed to sail the exact same route that it makes. Well, let's hope it doesn't repeat and actually completes. But what could have happened if they made it, and how would it have been? I mean, so much has changed and so much was linked to all those legacies that didn't make it. That's far out. That's way far out, man. Because there's so much money that was on there, all that changed. You know, what could have been? And that's one of the biggest things about this ship, and how historical and how majestic it was. That's crazy. And that's the multiverse we'll never get to know. Because the timeline we're in is with the timeline we're able to have now. But if we were to explore multiverses and alternate realities, yes, what could have been? And that's what makes it so speculative and so exciting. So on this channel, that's what we do. A lot of multiverse stuff, cross-dimensional events that just come about. I mean, we haven't seen this since 1909, you know, back on those big old towers at Vigo and all those people. I mean, when you have the coming of Gozer hanging out, those big old towers that Ivo Shandor had. And that's the only way you can see the alternate universe for this. But the thing is, go check out the Titanic movie. You have to watch it. I mean, sit on through and watch every bit of it. See all the historicalness of it. get your emotions high. It's like watching Frozen. When you've seen that a couple hundred times, you'll know what I'm talking about. The emotions, you'll start shedding tears, and that's what makes it a great movie to watch. Unbelievable. Even till this day, there is still water in the swimming pool, and the toilets still have full water in them until this day. The Titanic is a marvel of all things. It's unbelievable the things that are still preserved.